In this lesson, we're going to add some finishing touches as well as go ahead and comment our code. So first, I'm going to select my main camera, and as you can see, when I play the game, the background is this bluish color, and I don't really like that. I want it to just be black in the background. So over here on the camera component in the inspector, I'm going to click on this blue here next to background. So click on that, and it's going to select black, just like that. So now when I play, it will look like that. So that's much better. And I'm going to do a few more things. So first, let's go ahead, open up these buttons, and go ahead and say best fit, because I want the text to be a little bigger. It's a little small, so I'm going to go through. I'm actually going to go ahead and open up all these buttons here, and then I'm going to select all the different texts. And with all of them selected, I can just do best fit once for those, and it'll change them all. So now this will look a little bit more like this. So cool, we have that taken care of. Now what we want to do is I'm just going to change some of the names of these panels so that it's a little bit better labeled over here. I mentioned this earlier as something that you could do, and I'll just go ahead and do it. So rename this one. This one's going to be the question panel. And this one's going to be the answers panel. And this is going to be the results panel. Results panel. Okay. So, cool. That's all pretty well labeled there. Looking good. Now, let's go into the code. So, this will be also a good review of what we actually went about doing. So, for the struct for the questions, pretty simple. And to make a comment, I'm just going to put 2 forward slashes, and then I can type something in to help you just basically understand what the how this code is working, what it is. So I'm just putting a comment here for the question struct. So this is the struct that sets up what our question values are going to be. So something like that. This probably isn't the most necessary struct. We could sort of easily figure it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a struct for each of the functions that we made, because I think that'll be useful, actually. So here for assigning the question. So what's happening here? Let's just go through it. So current question equals question at the question number. So the thing we pass in is an int, and we assign it, and then we go about changing all the answers to be the answers of that question, as well as changing the question text. So this is basically just setting up the interface to show a question. So that's basically what's happening here. Okay, so, and this one is check answer. So what are we doing here? We are giving feedback, it looks like, for the question if we got it right or wrong, and we're also starting the continue after feedback coroutine. So it's doing a few things here. First off, it's giving feedback for question answered, and it's also, I'll just do a new line, new comment. It's also moving on to next question after a pause. Okay. So choose questions. This is choosing the question numbers for the trivia game. Okay, pretty simple there. Number not contained, this is a pretty simple one too. This one's just checking to see if the random number chosen has already been chosen. Okay. And remember, we use this up in the function right up here, just to make sure we haven't already chosen that question for this. You can make more detailed or less detailed comments. I mean, for now, I'm just keeping these pretty simple. And move on to the next question. It's fairly simple as well. Assigns new question using the next question number. Yeah. And oops. Display results. It's a fairly simple one too. These are fairly simple. And honestly, you might not need comments for some of these things that it's fairly where they're fairly simple, but I'm just putting them in here just to show you how you might go about doing this. So display results. Basically what this is doing is setting the text, the results text, to the appropriate text depending on how many questions were answered correctly. Okay. And let's go down a little bit more. So restart level. That's simple as well. Restarts the level. And honestly, yeah, you really don't need necessarily a comment for that. And this is coroutine that, it does the pause, that pauses and then moves on to next question. I could put more detail in there if I really wanted to, but I think that's fine. Okay, so that's all fairly well commented. And so I'll save that, go back over here. Let's go into our project and we'll just clean up this a little bit as well. I do not need this test script anymore. I really don't. So I'm just going to delete it like that because we really don't. Make sure that it wasn't still attached to our main camera. So there'd be a missing component. It looks like we're good there. And I'm going to make folders now. You don't really need to when you have two things, but I'm just going to show you doing this because you should do it once you get more complicated projects. So scripts, I made a scripts folder and I'm taking that and putting it in there. Also going to make a folder for the scenes. So right clicking in here, going to create, and I'm going to create a folder and it's going to be called scenes. And I'm going to drag and drop that into there. Very cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a build of this. So this will be basically, since I'm on a PC, I'm going to make an exe that I can then run. You can, give it to your friends or whatever, and they can play your game. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, actually, before we do that, I'm going to put in one more small bit of code. That we should have in order to actually exit our game. And I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm going to exit out of that. We'll just open that script up again. Because right now we don't have anything that actually allows us to exit. So in order to do that, I'm going to make a new function. It's going to be called, it's going to be a void function. I'm not going to return anything. It's going to be called quit game. Just like that. And for what's inside of it, it's going to have an if statement, and it's going to be if you get input, so input dot, using the input class, get key down. So it's checking to see if a key has been pressed down. And then as a parameter, key code, you can use that, dot exit, I think, or escape. There we go, the escape key, that's what we're checking for. So if that happens, basically, if that happens, then it's going to return true, so then the if statement is going to be true, so then it's going to continue and do this code here. And what do we do then? We do application.quit. That's a function, and close that out. So when do we want to run this code? We want to run it every frame. So in order to do that, I'm going to copy it. And then do we still have an update? Yes, we do. Right here, it's called once per frame. So I'm going to paste that in there and close that out. So cool. Well, let's go ahead and just add a comment to this, even though it's super simple. see, checks for input to quit game. Okay. So cool, that will help us when we do our build. With that done, I'll see you in the next lesson.